How you doing? It's Neil Steele here. Beautiful day here in Tasmania for overseas viewers. um, Listen, this is going to be the first of a number of these review type things that I'm going to do. Yours truly has been involved in the music industry in Australia for 4 decades. I've done lots of stuff, in case some people don't know, besides singing in a couple of bands, or a number of bands over the years, but a couple that I still sort of sing for at the moment. Worked in the industry as far as doing radio shows for 4 decades, Sydney, Hobart, overseas. Been a freelance journalist for most of the music magazines in Australia, especially during the 80s. That's because I was based in Sydney at the time. And been a lighting tech for a while as well, as a lighting guy, lighting bands, at live gigs. Absolutely love that. That was another thing. So there's lots of things I've done within the music industry, and obviously, with social media, I've got a page called the Kilowatts Hard Rock Specialist Facebook page, and we just basically put up news items and musical clips and stuff of old school bands, and also right through to the new breed of bands out there nowadays for hard rock and heavy metal music and heavy rock. So I suppose most people would call it mainstream metal, because it's bands like Sabbath and Priest, through to days like bands like today, the Buckcherry and Gersh and the Chronicles and everybody in between. So we do that sort of thing. And that's probably one of the only major outlets in Australia that promotes that sort of music. That's the problem with the Australian music industry. Like I said, I've worked in it for 40 years. I've loved a lot of things that I've done. There's lots of bands that I've loved over that period of time, and I'm just talking Australian bands, forget all that. Overseas bands that I've loved still to this day. Australian bands, and we've had some great bands in Australia, but unfortunately most people overseas only know of one, possibly two. The Wiggles, which is a kids thing, but they've made lots of money, right? And people know of them overseas markets. And AC/DC, because they're a massive hard rock band, right? And they're, 50 years, they're still going. And they can still sell out stadiums of 50,000 people wherever they want to play. That's how big they are, right? Now, to get there, and nothing against the people that were involved in the band, excuse me. So I'm a huge fan of AC/DC. I still like him to this day, but I'm a Bon Scott man because that's what I grew up with. Those first 6 albums with him were fucking fantastic as far as I'm concerned. And luckily they had a little bit of success here in Australia before they went overseas and had success overseas. But realistically, they didn't have the mega success until Bon Scott died in 1980. And then they put out Back in Black, and then it fucking took off for them in a major way, right? Prior to that, they were one of the bands out there, and there's a plethora of them. And realistically, they wouldn't have succeeded, even just for Australia, if it wasn't for the fact that their older uncle, George Young, was a member of a successful 60s Australian band called the Easy Beats. Now, they had a couple of big hits internationally, and they had a number of hits here in Australia, like I can't remember how many top 40 hits, probably, I don't know, let's say a dozen. So he has the connections, right? They're big here and they're big overseas. The band was based in UK for a little while, right? So AC/DC come along. He's their uncle, so of course he's going to do the right thing by his nephews. So AC/DC are happening. They get signed to Albert's Records, which of course is a connection that George Young had. So they got those things in their favour. Then someone invested in them and they go to Europe, UK, play shows for 2 or 3 years over there in America. And like I said, Bon Scott passed away, Back in Black comes out, and then they're just mega fucking successful, right? Now that's because they had the right people and investment behind them. That happens for every fucking band, whether it's AC/DC, Coldplay, ABBA, Metallica, Cradle of Filth, whoever, right? Every band that's had success that you know of has had a number of things go their way. A, you've got to have the connections. Now, if you don't have the connections, probably the most important thing is money. You've got to have fucking money. Investment, either your own or someone likes what you're doing as a product and will invest in it. That's the only way you're going to get there. That's how, excuse me, all the artists that you know of and have heard of, investment is what got them there, whether it's Elvis Presley all the way through. Beatles, Slade, Kiss, Iron Maiden, fucking whoever, right? ABBA. Investment is part of it. Investment's a huge thing because record companies used to invest millions of dollars to establish the act's name, which then becomes a brand, a la like a logo, right? Brand. And whether it's Iron Maiden, the Cult, fucking whoever, right? ABBA, it doesn't matter. It's a product. It's like a McDonald's hamburger. It's like British Airways. It's like General Motors. It's a brand. And people forget the music industry is exactly all about that. It's about money and making money. It's a business, right? So investment's very important. If you've got money, you can fucking buy your way there. You know, and that has happened. We'll talk about that later on. And anyone would do the same thing. So investment buys you the contacts. Investment buys you media exposure. Investment buys you radio airplay. That doesn't come for nothing. Every band you've heard on the fucking radio has been paid for by a record company or management or both. Yeah? Whether it's Australia, America, Europe, Japan, fucking wherever. Every band that's had success has been paid by a record company up until the Spotify era. Record companies don't invest in bands now. They might invest in the band or an act if they've sold 50 million records, but outside of that, no, they just sit back, collect the royalties from all the people that download the stuff from Spotify. They don't need to invest anymore. So the investment part of it is nowhere like it used to be. So it's basically investments of people, be it tax dodgers, laundering money, fucking whatever, because organised crime is another part of the music industry, in case you don't know. It fucking is. And that's it's not just the music industry, it's lots of industries, right? It's money. It's all about fucking money, and humanity is all about money. So any band that has major success is because of the investment. You think of all those bands, like I said, AC/DC, Iron Maiden, Metallica, Scorpions, let's throw them in there. So there's 5 bands, right? Yeah, let's even throw Ozzy Osbourne, right? All those acts, all that had investment, all have had success, all have had radio airplay. Every one of them. And even in today with 2026 with Spotify and YouTube and all these other platforms, no one goes and downloads a song from Spotify of a band they've never fucking heard. You have to have heard of an act before you want to go and listen or download their song. So radio airplay used to be a big thing. It's still big today because lots of people have the radio on in the background when they're at work. That's reality. So there's lots of things that add all up. And this is just the first part. I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Whether the person is talented or not, money can buy them that, okay? Now, you've got to take into account, because I want to keep this fairly short, most of the people that make the decisions in the music industry, definitely here in Australia, because I know, because I've worked for, under lots of them over my time, excuse me again, A, non-musicians, B, wannabe musicians, C, failed musicians. And that's the majority of people that are involved in the industry that call the fucking shots. And if you're not a friend of them personally or have the money, you haven't got a snowball's chance in fucking hell of having any success. And that's just here in Tasmania as well as mainland Australia. That's what it's like. It's a real closed shop. And most of the people that are involved and make the calls are all into alternative fucking music. They're not into hard rock, and they're definitely not into fucking heavy metal. It's all about alternative music. And that's just part one. Cheers. I'll catch you next time.